The Subaru Legacy GT is a car that many of us overlook because it just kind of blends into the background out on American roads. And today I am going to tell you why this is a car that you should stop overlooking and buy them before they're way too expensive. Almost every new sedan these days has the option of all-wheel drive. But when this Legacy came out in 2005, it really wasn't a super common option, especially at this price point. And that gave Subaru the idea to come up with its ad to launch this car, saying, why have all four wheels if you're not going to use them?
Why have four wheels if you're not going to use them? The Subaru Legacy with symmetrical all-wheel drive standard.
Now, there were some different variations of this fourth generation Legacy. Most of them came in a sedan like this. You could, however, get a wagon version of it, which I think is probably the best looking of all of them. But as far as the wagon and the GT, if you want that in a stick shift, well, there was really only 1 year that offered that, and that was 2005. So those are pretty darn hard to come by. But probably the coolest option and probably the most sought after would be the Spec B, where it came with a 6-speed manual as opposed to the 5-speed in the regular GT, as well as some other performance goodies. Now, the easiest way to determine whether you're looking at a GT is this guy, the hood scoop. And now, the hood scoop has always come on the GT. However, it had been quite a while since in America we had gotten the turbo in the Subaru Legacy. And I know the rest of you out across the rest of the world got that cool turbo engine, but we never got the good ones here in the States. In fact, it was like a 10-year hiatus from us getting the turbo in the Legacy. But when you do get the turbo, it makes it for a super fun ride because this is derived from the WRX, which at the time put out about 220 horsepower. But when they put it in the Legacy, because this Legacy is a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, they bumped up that power to 250 horsepower out of this 2.5 liter Boxer turbo 4-cylinder. So on the interior of the Legacies, they're pretty basic. So you do get some nice comfortable seats that do have a decent amount of bolstering to them. And then this one does have a pretty nice leather stitched steering wheel that I will say does feel premium and sporty to hold. And then I believe in here is what held the navigation system, but since this one doesn't have that option, you just get a little cubby. When you do fire it up, I love how these gauges kind of look blanked out and then give you a little dance as it turns on. Now, the center stack just has kind of this chromed looking plastic to it, and it just kind of looks like a standard Subaru. I mean, it's nothing special or out of the ordinary. This one, however, is equipped with a manual transmission, which is pretty actually hard to find. I've seen in these Subarus, most of them are the automatics. This one's the 5-speed. The Spec B is the only one that gets the 6-speed, and this does have a little sport mode on it, which I believe just changes the throttle response on it if you switch it over to like the Sport Sharp. Now, behind that, you do get a little door that slides open to reveal your cup holders, and then next to that you do have a couple of seat heaters as well as some center storage. Oh, and you can't forget the manual lumbar on your seats. So the back seat in these Legacies isn't particularly placed to be. Now, I'm only 5'9", but I'm having to crouch because my head is actually touching the roof of this. And no, the headliner is not sagging. That's just how they came from the factory. But you do get a few nice features, like you do get center cup holders here for a couple of cups, and you do get a little flip down armrest. I guess that makes it slightly more comfortable. All right, so taking this Legacy GT out for a little spin. Now, I am here at an auction, so I'm not going to be able to get it out onto the road and get it up to normal speeds. However, This is not my first Legacy GT I've ever driven. I used to have, or a friend of mine used to have one of these, and had a few opportunities to drive it, and I really liked it. Now this particular one, I think does have like a bad wheel bearing or something, so I've got a lot of noise coming from the front end as well as the ABS light on. And the elephant in the room when you're starting to talk about Subarus, right, and I know it's going to happen in the comments, is the head gasket issue, right? And the unreliability of them, and yeah, it's, you know, they're no Honda, they're no Toyota as far as their engines go, but they're certainly not the least reliable performance sedan out there. I mean, if you're looking at BMWs of the same era or Audis of the same era, those are certainly going to give you a lot more problems than one of these. But I've got out here on the test track. It's a snowy test track, so we're really going to test this all-wheel drive capability. See how it does with getting me up to speed. Ooh, yeah, that's pretty fun. I don't want to go too fast here. I don't want to slide into the barrier in case we got some ice at the end of this little strip. But I will say, even in its older age, I mean, we're talking a car that's creeping in on 20 years old. I mean, it's not quite there yet, but it's still pretty spry and pretty darn fun to drive. And if you're thinking about it in terms of like a WRX, which obviously this shares, you know, a lot of components with the WRX, this is much more quiet. It's got a much nicer interior. The seats are a lot more comfortable. I mean, all the places that you touch, you know, the door cards, the steering wheel, everything just has a more premium feel to it than a WRX. And not only that, typically the owners that you will see from the Legacy Legacy GT versus a WRX, you know, it's going to be the kind of person that's going to be a little more up to date on their maintenance. So as far as pricing goes, these sedans are still relatively affordable. In fact, I've seen on some of the popular auction sites these going on average for like $7,000 in pretty nice shape. And I think if you're looking on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, you could probably realistically find a manual version of this for like $5,000 in good running shape. Now, if you're looking at those Spec Bs or the manual wagons, yeah, those are collector status. Those are going to be up into the teens. They are super expensive to get right now, but that's why I think these are going to soon follow and jump up in value, and now is the time to buy them. And not only that, it's a cool car that you can enjoy and drive while it's going up in value. So I think this is a total buy, and you guys should jump on it while you still can, because someday you'll remember this video and think back to, damn, I should have gotten it before they shot up. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Brendan and Ian behind the camera. Take care, guys.